Hi, I'm Sarah Maxwell, and for the Relationship Equation Summit, today I am here with Jennifer Zundel, and she is a certified Calling in the One coach, and she coaches people to manifest the love of their lives. So she's going to share a bit about Calling in the One and the program that she's created, and how she can help you create a huge breakthrough in your love life. So without further ado, introduce Jennifer Zundel.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for being
Hi.
here. Hi. Really appreciate it. And I'd love it if you could tell us a little bit about what calling in the one is, what that means.
Absolutely. So, Calling in the One is a 7-step process that was designed by my mentor, Catherine Woodward Thomas. And she created this program to support people to identify and release the hidden inner obstacles that have been keeping love away so that you can become magnetic to the love that you desire. And it's a coaching program that has already supported hundreds of thousands of people around the world to transform their love lives. And we all really want to love and be loved. And so Calling in the One really helps us create this breakthrough that we're desiring in our ability to experience happy, healthy love, no matter how disappointing your past experiences in love have been.
Mm, so true. We all do want that. And I know as I've looked in the book at different times, there was some things where I had some aha moments for certain. Um, So, what inspired you to be a Calling in the One coach?
Well, I got so inspired when I was doing the course for myself, and I was able to transform my own patterns in love. And it was
Mm,
not only so exciting to see myself having these huge breakthroughs, but everyone around me that I also saw doing the program was also having huge breakthroughs. It was so highly transformative that I wanted to be able to help other people to create these kinds of breakthroughs in their lives. And, this course has the foundational premise that we're looking for ourselves as the source of our experience, or as my mentor Catherine reminds us to ask ourselves, how is it happening through us and not to us? And
mm,
so once I started looking at this from that perspective, I started seeing all the very subtle ways that I was actually creating my own experience in my relationships. It wasn't just happening to me. It wasn't something that I had no control over. And once I started changing how I was showing up, once I actually saw what I was doing and how it was happening, things shifted really quickly for me. And that was so exciting. I wanted to be able to help other people do this.
I love that. That is so true. It's we don't really get a roadmap. So, how would you say, speaking of roadmaps, how is Calling in the One different from other approaches to
Well, that's a
finding
great
love?
question. Yeah, because most approaches to finding love really focus on external obstacles to love. For example, the differences between men and women, or how people communicate, or how to communicate in a way that would make us more desirable to someone that we're interested in, or they teach us about the stages of dating. And these are all wonderful things. Yet, because of that, there is something that happens when we're focused on all these external obstacles to love that leads us to come to some false conclusions when we're still struggling to find love. For example, it leads people to think, well, I've been doing everything that people are telling me to do, so I guess this just must mean that all the good ones are taken. Or it must mean that online dating sucks. Or it
Mm-hmm.
must mean that I'm too old, too fat, too skinny, too short, too tall, too young, whatever, to find love. Or it must mean that nobody wants me. So we're coming to these false conclusions because we're so focused on all the external obstacles to love, when actually the biggest obstacle to love is interior. And so this is what we're really looking to transform, is the internal unconscious obstacles that have been keeping love away, those deep beliefs, the self-sabotaging patterns that we haven't even really been aware of. And so, we may deeply desire love, but until we're actually really aware of what's keeping love away internally, the subtle ways that we've been working against ourselves unknowingly, things can't change. So that's why this is the first thing to focus on. And so calling in the one really helps us identify these inner barriers to love so that we can then become magnetic to the right person. This is where we get to start talking about the law of attraction. So especially if, and I know you told me that your community is really interested in the law of attraction. So especially if people have been attempting to manifest love with the law of attraction and not getting results, that's
Mhm.
a good indicator that there are inner blocks in the way, internal obstacles that are in the way. And another indicator that I often see people have that indicate that internal obstacles are keeping love away is when they do something, for example, like my Manifest Your Soulmate Visioning Love meditation, like the one
Mhm.
that I've shared with your community. A lot of people, if they try that meditation, some people say, oh, I feel so wonderful, I feel so expanded, I felt so alive. I haven't felt anything like that before. And so that's really exciting. And yet there are also some people that say, well, it was a nice meditation, and yet I don't know that that's actually possible for me. I just didn't really feel it. It didn't feel alive for me. So that's a good indicator that there are internal obstacles in the way. Because if someone is having a difficult time accessing a sense of possibility, that love is possible for them, that indicates there's some inner beliefs that are in the way. Love was never going to happen for me. I'm never going to find the right person. It's going to be so hard. So that's how this this freebie that I've offered your community is my free gift. I really want people to try that out and use it as a manifesting tool, and you also use it as a gauge to understand, where am I in this ability for me to sense that love is possible for me.
That's so wonderful, and thank you for that gift. And I completely agree with you. That's a perfect exercise. I listen to a lot of meditations and guided talks, and then I'll notice where there'll be that inner critic or the sabotager that says, "Oh, I don't think you can really have that." So, um,
Mm,
and to notice that, and that's really important. That's why I love the idea of someone having a guide like yourself to say, okay, air traffic control, you're going off course here, where with your beliefs. Also, I know I have a lot of female friends, and they'll share what they're looking for, what they really want, and then a few sentences later they'll negate it and contradict themselves and say, oh, but that's not possible, or I'm just going to focus on my
exactly.
work. Yeah.
Exactly. We need to grow our ability to be aware of our own consciousness
Mm-hmm.
and see where are we centered. So in fact, these beliefs that we're talking about, these are actually the number one thing that's keeping love away. And we have a 7-step process in the Calling in the One program, a somatic process at the body
Mm.
level that helps us access where are those beliefs living, because the beliefs are actually not logical. They're not in your head. I mean, logically, you know that you're worthy of love, you're worthy of all good things, that you are lovable. And yet, in a moment of disappointment, for example, that's the fastest way to find ourselves in our false love identity, is what we call it in the Calling in the One program. And we find ourselves there without even realizing that we got there. Or maybe when you're nervous about a date, is this person going to like me? Are they going to think I'm good enough? And again, without even realizing it, we've slid down into that false love identity that's then unconsciously generating our reality. And so we need to become aware of it, because this is how it works. So the beliefs influence our energy, which then
Mm-hmm.
influence our body language. They influence our facial expressions. They influence our tone of voice. They influence the choices that we're going to make, the actions that we're going to take, the things that we're going to say that could sabotage the relationship. And so we need to understand how that is happening so that we can actually consciously do something different. So this
Mm.
7-step process that we have is actually going to transform these beliefs at the somatic level of the body so that you can be at choice for what you are going to create in your life. And you're not then at the whim of those false beliefs anymore. You're the decider. You're conscious of what you're committed to creating. And that's exciting.
That is exciting, and I love that you reference this somatic healing. So many people forget that your body is, either going into that fight, flight, or freeze, and that we're holding all of these emotions trapped in our bodies that we don't even realize are there. And then you do a guided meditation, and the body starts to relax, and some of these things can. And it really does take guidance. You sound like a personal trainer for one's beliefs. I would call it. It's great to have
The belief gym.
a belief gym, yes, to build some new muscles and some new beliefs that are better sculpted.
Mm.
Now, there is a question I've been wanting to ask you that I'm really curious about personally, and something that you call soulmate myths. And can you tell me just a little bit about these myths that you're busting? Myth busting.
Yes, yes, I can. So basically, there are 3 soulmate myths that
Mm,
I reference quite a bit. One soulmate myth is this idea that love should just happen organically, and it shouldn't take any effort in order to have it happen. So the reality, though, is that it takes a lot of skill to create health and happiness and love. And you don't have to wait until you meet your person in order to start developing these skills. You can start right now, even before your person has shown up in your life, so that you're ready to create happy, healthy love. And so that's great news, right? The
mm-hmm,
second soulmate myth is that a lot of people have is they think if they just find the right person, then magically the relationship will work out.
mm-hmm,
And so apparently I just haven't met the right person yet. When the reality is you actually could meet someone who's a great match for you. And if you haven't developed yourself, developed your skills, developed your capacity to create a great relationship, then you could easily blow it. And that is tragic. That's really, really a disappointment for people when they realize that they had something good and they didn't know how to show up in a way to honor that and to navigate the challenges. Because here's another reality is Dr. John Gottman has found that all relationships, even soulmate relationships, are going to have irreconcilable differences. Yet the key to whether that is going to become a successful relationship or not is not whether those irreconcilable differences exist or not, but rather how the couple navigates the differences. And
mm,
so we have to start growing our ability now in order to be able to navigate those challenges, those difficult conversations that all couples are going to have, so that we're ready and we do it well. Pray not just to meet your soulmate, but to navigate the relationship well when you do, so that you don't mess it up. So this is one of the things that I'm helping people with. So the third soulmate myth is that if you've had a messed up childhood or bad relationships in your past, that you're destined to keep repeating them forever in your adulthood. And the reality is that your past doesn't determine your future. What you're standing for, what you're committed to creating, is what is going to determine your future. And so, but it takes commitment. It's not going to happen without effort on your part. You have to do the work. You have to get support in those cases, to really transform your patterns in love so that you don't keep repeating that pattern. I know it's
mm,
painful to keep repeating patterns. So that's why I'm so honored to be able to support people to transform what's possible, to actually support people to step into their desires for what they want in their life, because that's what's possible.
that's so great, and thank you for explaining that, because those are pervasive myths that definitely um, people will self-sabotage, and that I know it always is hard for when I've done it, and then to watch someone else. So, and being able to have support is tremendous. It makes all the difference. So I know that your course, you're going to be offering that soon. Is that coming up?
Well, I do have a course coming up, an 8-week calling in the one course, but I also
Mm.
do private coaching. And
Great.
people get a lot of private, deep transformation, even with the private coaching. And I'm available for that at any time.
Okay,
We
good.
don't need to
That's
wait for a
wonderful.
course.
Yes, I really recommend if anyone is looking for support. I know that that's a fantastic program, and just from what I know of you, Jennifer, it's been such a delight. I can tell you're incredibly committed and caring and able to help really work things out together. So that support is lovely. Thank you. And obviously, people can find out more about you um, and your work.
Yeah, that's right. Going to download my Manifest Your Soulmate Visioning Love meditation, then they'll be on my email list and be able to connect with me that way, and they'll be able to find how to reach out to me.
Perfect. Love it. Well, thank you so much for all that you do and for sharing your wisdom and insights, and also for being, such a support for people to have the one in their lives. You are the one to help people do that. So
Calling in the
thank
one.
you. Yes. And ring, ring. Been called. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was perfect.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Really
Bye-bye.
appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.